You've taken a look to try to find examples of people having religious experiences, and you really have given some thought to, well, what reason does the person have for identifying this as an experience of God? The one, at least that I read from, the one that William James told us about, I guess it's his personal experience. He never said it was an experience of God. It was just a mystical experience, some kind of odd experience. But he had this feeling, this very strong feeling, that it was an experience of God. Is that good enough? I mean, in general, we think having the feeling, having a strong belief, having a passionate belief, doesn't mean that we have good reason for believing it. So I'm wondering, in the cases that you looked at, was there really a good reason for that person to identify this experience as an experience of God? You talk about people going out sometimes, people who live in the city going out to the country and at night looking up into the stars, into the vastness of the universe, and having this feeling. Maybe it's similar to having a feeling of being in love with somebody. That doesn't necessarily mean that somebody's in love with you, that there's somebody out there, or that the other person is feeling the same way about you. Similarly, maybe you have this feeling that it's God, but is that a good enough reason? Is that really analogous to your feeling the chair, your seeming to see, your perception of the chair that you're sitting in right now? Could somebody else confirm that? Then the other question is, wait a second, what reason would you have for thinking that this experience isn't a good reason for thinking that God exists? Well, it's not something that you've had on any other occasions, or it's not something you have on a regular basis, and you even have no way of verifying. That is, how do you know you didn't eat something and go to sleep? It's a funny dream you're having. It's a hallucination you're having. How can you really have good reason for eliminating all of these possibilities? Now, let's say even the person who's having this experience, that it is good enough experience for that person. That is, it justifies that person in thinking that God exists. What's reasonable for someone else to believe about what transpired? Is it reasonable for that person to think that it was an experience of God, and that's why it's reasonable to think that God exists? Can everybody else have these kinds of experiences? It seems a little bit different than the perceptual examples that we're talking about. But it raises some interesting questions that we'll turn to in a second, about maybe there are circumstances in which it's reasonable, or maybe not reasonable, to think that these experiences are what we might call veridical, are truthful. That is, they really are experiences of God.